What's up, y'all? Welcome to the show. I'm Lemar. That's LJ. What the hell are we talking about today?
We're talking about the Washington Capitals winning last night. When I say last night, I mean June 8th, winning their first Stanley Cup. Uh, Alexander Ovechkin, Russian, winning. That'll be the second time in 2 years that a Russian has won a major event in Washington,
Hold,
besides the president.
hold on. Time out. Time
Uh,
out. Time out. This dude came with real facts. I was just gonna say, hey, congratulations. So he about to make me look real dumb. Continue.
yeah, so that'll be the second time a Russian has won in a major contest in Washington besides the president. Uh,
Hmm.
so so yeah, I was actually hearing rumors about him retiring after he
Really?
won this.
Really? Is he that old?
Yeah, he's not. He's 34 years old.
Hmm.
He's young,
Hmm.
especially for I don't know what age hockey players retire, but apparently some of them play forever.
Yeah. Yeah. And 34, and he just had like 15 goals, 15 power play goals, the most ever in like like you still got a lot of game left in you, so that's surprising that you would do that. But hey,
Well, this is just rumors, so you never know. Uh, you never know what these things come from, or so you never know. But I really want to say one thing. There's a picture going out, is on making its way around the internet of I think either Ovechkin or one of his teammates holding up the Stanley Cup, and he's right next to the glass where you see like the audience,
hmm,
and there's a woman with her top down, completely pressed against the glass.
what? I gotta look for that.
It's going to be pretty easy to find because like that's making its way around the internet like really quickly.
Wow. So does she have big Stanley Cups or not?
No, they
No.
were
Oh,
small.
that's okay. we appreciate the gesture. Anyway,
I guess the Washington Capitals. I guess they appreciated the gesture. I mean, but they didn't really pay attention to him.
well, I'm sure they'll see the replay like I will. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, they lost. So I mean, the Vegas Knights lost 4-1, and I was really rooting for them. I mean, I'm not a hockey fan or anything like that, but I would have liked to see the expansion team win. That'd have been pretty historic, and whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it. I couldn't care less about hockey, but um, that would have been for a better story. I definitely would have been paying more attention if the series was closer. But once they went up 3-1, I was like, all right, well. And I was watching some of the guys at Buffalo Wild Wings last night, watching the game. They were down 2-1, then they scored two in a row, and it was up 3-2. And I was like, all right, well, maybe that'd be good enough. And I kind of forgot, once I left Wild Wings, I kind of forgot all about the game. And then this morning, I saw that Washington came back and won 4-3. So congratulations to them. They never won, and you know, and Ovechkin never won, so it's good for him. Great players. I always root for great players to have at least one title, so good for him.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not really much of a hockey fan, uh, so congratulations to Ovechkin, Washington. I don't think any Washington team has won a championship in a long time. Not since
That's
'91
just
when the
like the
Redskins won.
Redskins. Yeah, yeah, you're right. I don't think, yeah, not definitely not basketball and baseball. Yeah,
Well, the
yeah,
baseball team is brand new. They only been there for like
right.
what 10 years.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, yeah. So, I guess we can move on from this. We got the hockey story out of the way, so.
Yeah, hockey's out of the way, so get that
All
shit. Let's
right,
move.
so well, I'm actually surprised we led with it, but whatever. All right, so I guess we'll get to the finals. They're actually tipping off as we speak. Yeah, Cleveland's down 3-0. Golden State looks basically doing what we all expected them to do. They look solid. Durant the last game had 43, and then he hit that dagger three the same way he hit it last year in Game 3 in Cleveland. And it is what it is. Like if Cleveland wins tonight, great. They can avoid the sweep, but I personally think that it's over. I'm not gonna even bother watching that game. It's as you can see, we're doing the show during the game, so it's not that important.
Yeah, I think the series was over when Jr. Fucked up that play in the first game. I think the
Absolutely.
series was over then. I think that just took out the heart of the entire Cleveland Cavaliers team. But
Pretty
I'm
much.
going to give you one thing about Kevin Durant and his legacy. When you join a 72 win team, a 73
73
win
win
team,
team.
you don't get much respect for winning championships after that.
Yeah.
You're one of the best teams in the league.
Right.
You're one of the best players in the league.
Right. They're basically empty rings. They're just like
It, yeah, like I don't care 10, 20 years from now, no one's gonna say, "Hey, this guy's a champion." No, this guy, like you're gonna be infamous for that. You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like I hope that he's known for what he did for the rest of time.
Yeah, me too. I mean, and it's sad because I always liked Durant and I was respecting him, but I just lost like a ton of respect for him doing this. Like people try to compare it to the LeBron thing. It's not the same thing.
It's not the same. Not
LeBron for one,
no way, no how.
yeah, it's nowhere near the same thing. And he's just like you went to a team that was just like loaded, and you just really made the rest of the league lopsided. Like there's no real. I mean, I agree. Golden State, Houston made it interesting, and Cleveland in the games are semi competitive. Like they're in the games. Like they had a chance to win the last one, and they absolutely should have won game one. Game two is the only one that they definitely, Golden State, it got away from them at the end. But the games were competitive, and Golden State wasn't as dominant as they were last season. But and I think part of it is just repetitive boredness of being as great as they are. It's hard to be that great and stay motivated. So that's the only thing that could stop them from possibly winning right now because they're too good for anybody else right now, and it's not that fun to watch. To be honest, the Houston series was fun, and then Chris Paul got hurt, so it's like they caught a break. And by the way, they're extremely lucky.
They catch breaks every single year. Every time they win championships, they catch breaks.
Yeah, they can. I mean, you expect the team every now and then to catch a break, but yeah, like you said, every year they've
Every
like,
championship they won, they catch
yeah,
a break. Every
like the first like just think if Kyrie and Kevin Love was healthy that first year, Cleveland wins that series. Like they
yeah,
were up two
yeah, I
one,
think they won that
they
series.
were up 2-1, and they took them to six without those two guys. So I'm guessing Kyrie and Kevin
Matthew
Love
Dellavedova took
probably
him
would
to
have beat them in six. Would you say?
yeah. Matthew Dellavedova.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, Dellavedova gave Stephen Curry fits in that series, so
yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things, But they did what they did. They won. They took advantage of what they had, what of the opportunities they had. So, but the Durant thing just really, really, ugh. And he already said that he plans on resigning. Um, so I guess we're gonna have a lot more of the same next year. We'll see where LeBron goes, which is part of what we're gonna talk about anyway. But before we get to that, how do you think this affects LeBron's legacy if he gets swept?
No, it doesn't affect it at all. I don't put that. I don't put this as a mark against him. You have four all stars beating him, and like I don't say that this Cleveland team is bad because they have four of the same starters they had from last year. They just don't have Kyrie anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like he doesn't have help. He has help. He has Kevin Love. He has help, but they
And
just
by the
don't
way,
have.
Kevin Love has played well, so
Yeah, yeah, but that's the thing. He still has them. You know what I
no,
mean?
no,
Like,
and I'm saying he's played well. I didn't say he didn't play well. He has
oh,
played
okay,
well.
okay,
Yeah, he's
okay.
played well. So
Yeah, like so I'm not getting into this thing like, oh, LeBron needs more help. LeBron needs more help. That's just saying that that's just built-in excuse. But I don't think that I think that the only way he's beating this team is if he joins another super team. There's no other way to beat this team. It's just too great. He has to go to a team with that kind of talent around him. And the only team I see, there's only two teams in the league. Like I said before on this podcast a few times, there's only two teams in the league I can see him actually going to, but that would compete with that team, and that's Boston or Minnesota. Those are the only two teams I see.
oh, okay. See me. I was thinking. Actually, I have 3 teams, and Minnesota's not one of them. I have I mean, well, Minnesota actually could be one of. Yeah, I could. I just. I mean, I agree with that, but I have Houston, San Antonio, and Boston. That's who I have. I have those three teams, and people think Houston's the obvious choice because because of the fact that they went 7 games with them, and Chris Paul was out, and all they need. And if you add LeBron to that, and I don't know if it's that obvious because I don't know. I mean, I think LeBron and D'Antoni are smart enough to make it work. Chris Paul smart enough to make it work, but it could potentially cause issues because LeBron is not gonna like LeBron's not gonna stand outside and shoot threes. He basically, if y'all don't notice, he only has one spot where he likes to shoot threes, and that's on that left wing. That's where he
Yeah,
mostly hits all his threes. So
that, and you know what? That's what. If you notice that yourself, then that's why a lot of people who play against him say that he's pretty simple to guard against. You know what I'm saying? You can't stop him because physically and athletically you can't stop him, but as far as him being predictable, he's very predictable. You know, like when he dribbles with his well, that's James Harden. I was say when he dribbles with no when LeBron dribbles
left,
with his left hand, he's gonna cut back and shoot with his right. But when he dribbles with his right hand, he's on the right
he's
hand
going
side. He's
to the
going
basket.
to drive to the basket.
Right, right. Well, that
You know,
but the funny thing is that's this year he kind of changed that. But yeah, most of his career you're correct, and that's how. And it's funny because today I was listening to something they were talking about that how LeBron had to get better at that because that's how Dallas beat him. Dallas made him basically forced him to his left for the most of the series, and that was basically how they messed with his head. I'm trying to think of who said it because there's somebody that played for Dallas who said it, if I'm not mistaken.
was it
But
Tyson Chandler?
no, it wasn't Tyson Chandler. It was either somebody played for Dallas or somebody played for Miami because I know I listened to a Chris Bosh interview on Colin Cowherd, but I don't think he said it though, so I don't remember who said it. But anyway, they were saying that like that made it easier for them to guard him because he didn't have much of a jump shot at that time, and they knew that if you forced him left, he was gonna pull up or make him think for a split second of what he wanted to do next, as opposed to when he goes right, he knows exactly what he wants to do. So he worked on that after that series, and he got better and better every year. To well, this year, it doesn't matter which side he goes to, he can drive both sides easily or pull up both sides easily. And then, but as far as shooting threes, he really just likes to shoot off the dribble in that one spot, as opposed to sitting there waiting for somebody to pass on the ball and he's his like you don't see him do that I guess because he has to create the offense for everybody anyway. So you don't really see him catch and shoot it anyway. And
No,
but
he doesn't have to create the offense. He just does
nah,
because
he
the
kind of
offense
does.
comes from him.
With that team, he has to create the offense for the most
I
part.
mean, he was doing the same thing when Kyrie was there.
No, well, Kyrie's not there. I'm talking about this team. Like, yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Before with Kyrie there, he had Kyrie who could create. There's nobody else that creates like that for other teammates. Like Kevin Love can score, but he's not creating for anybody else. You know what I mean? He's just gonna either score or he's just not gonna score. But LeBron has to create. So, um, anything else we got about this? I guess we can.
About this series, let's see. Okay, where LeBron will go afterwards. Um,
Um, I I'm like the two things that are picking up momentum again are the Lakers and Philly, especially the Lakers. I keep hearing a lot about the Lakers.
I hear a lot about the Lakers
All
too.
right, so anyway, where were we?
Where LeBron's gonna go?
Yeah. So yeah, the Lakers thing and the Houston thing is picking up momentum. I mean, Lakers and Philly's picking up momentum. They're saying that Paul George and LeBron's gonna have a conversation after the season's over.
I heard they already had conversations. I heard they having
Okay,
conversations already, and they've
okay.
been having
Well,
them
no
for
surprise there.
throughout the season.
and and I was also hearing because Chris Paul's a free agent, and Magic, by the way, said a couple weeks ago that everybody's available for trade. So, which leads me to believe is, all right, LeBron, what do you need? Like, what do you need? Who do you need on this team? Who you don't need? See now, If Chris,
Chris Paul wants a max deal. He's
right,
not going to get that.
probably not. If he goes, let's say he leave, let's say he opts out of his contract and goes to the Lakers, should they? Then, in that case, then they would have to. What they could do is what Houston could do is say, all right, well, give us Lonzo Ball and give us Kyle Kuzma, and
Hmm.
give us your first round pick,
Yep.
and you got Chris
And
Paul.
and guess what the Lakers will do if they can get LeBron? Okay,
Right, yeah, because that's what's gonna happen.
that's a championship.
Right, if LeBron's going, that's the situation that would happen. Chris Paul, Chris Paul, and then you sign Paul George also. You know what I mean? So you got Paul George, Chris Paul, LeBron, and Brandon Ingram. Um, and that's to me that's a that's a formidable team to go up against Golden State. so and Luke Walton, being a former Golden State coach, he knows a little something about offense. Plus, he would run something similar, maybe not exactly the same, but he would run something similar. But when you got talent like that, and if they move the ball like that, then I think that they would be pretty damn formidable.
Yeah, I think they would, but Brandon Ingram isn't what he like. He was a top five pick, but top two pick a couple years ago. He hasn't really developed yet. You know what I'm saying? He's still light in the ass, and yeah. He's like 6'7", 190. People are saying he's going to be this, he's going to be that, but I don't see any evidence of that yet. Um, he's still like kind of wet behind the ears. You know what I'm saying? If they get rid of Lonzo Ball, what's that going to be for a year?
Right.
Maybe they'll win a championship. Maybe they won't. If they get rid of him, and he turns out to be one of the best point guards in the league, that's going to be terrible.
I
You know what
know.
I'm saying? They got if
I
they got
know.
rid of him for LeBron,
Right.
but if they don't win anything, it's just like wow, you just fucked up.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's questionable. I mean, because even if they don't win anything, if they're a playoff team and a contender, I think it's still kind of worth it. But it would
It's
just
it,
suck.
it's never worth it when you get rid of talent like that could put asses in the seats for years and years just for one playoff run.
Well, for
it,
one
it,
playoff run, no. But I mean, I don't think that it would be just one playoff run. I think LeBron would probably at that point finish his career there, and probably all three of them would. Know what were we saying?
we were talking about Alonzo Ball being traded to Houston. It might be a travesty if Lonzo Ball turns out to be a Hall of Famer.
um, and by the way, that would work. I mean, now see, D'Antoni would make Lonzo Ball look really good over there.
Lonzo Ball, well, I would say is he the type of point guard that D'Antoni? He's a pass first point guard, which is great,
but he
but
can't
he's.
score like a Steve Nash or a Harden or Chris
But
Paul.
I was just about to say, like he's more of a Steve Nash. And I think that D'Antoni's best point guard is James Harden.
Yeah, and yeah, like the only problem would be the fact that he's not a big time scorer. But I think but I think he'll still fit well enough because because remember, yeah, he made Chris Duhon look pretty good too. So it's not like you know what I mean. He
Jeremy
also
Lin,
got
he gave Jeremy Lin like $100 million.
yeah.
That's what he
So
did.
as long as he has a competent guy that can make the passes that he needs to make, which Lonzo Ball can definitely do, then he can run the offense, and then he'll have a Kyle Kuzma to play with also. That's I guess he'd come off the bench maybe. um, because they already would have James Harden. Then again, let's just throw him in there at the 3-2. Let's have all three of them start.
How many threes do you want in a team? That's like one, two, three. That's like four threes on the same team.
with Eric Gordon on the bench. so
I mean that'd be ridiculous. How many threes are in this league now? I remember back when we were coming up, there was hardly any small forwards in the league. There was like Pippen and Worthy and then Big Dog Glenn Robinson came along. But who was the three back then? Glenn Rice,
yeah, Glenn Rice. I don't
Jamal
know.
Mashburn. He wasn't that good.
He was good enough. He was a 20 point a game scorer for a little while, so he was good
He
enough.
would, and guess what? He would do in the playoffs.
Yeah,
He would just
he would
disappear.
disappear. Yep, he was. I mean, he was okay. You know what I mean? He was an okay player. Yeah, and I mean, as far as elite small forwards, no, it wasn't a lot of elite small forwards. Like Pippen was the most elite small forward back then.
Yeah,
um,
he wasn't an elite scorer. They didn't have any elite scorer. You know what I'm saying? The only elite scorer they had was like Dominique, but
yeah,
like that was the '80s.
yeah. Well, yeah, because if you're talking about '90s, yeah, you're right. It wasn't that many. Glenn Rice was.
Grant Hill when he
Oh
came
yeah, Grant
along,
Hill was a beast. Yeah.
he
um,
only his best year I think he averaged 25, and that was 1 year.
mm, yeah. But he was an all around player. Like he would get like didn't he average like 8 and 7 or something like that along with his or
No, he
seven
didn't
and
average
seven
eight.
is.
It, like but remember those like the offenses back then were slower, so
Mm,
a lot of these guys who were elite back then didn't have the numbers to show it.
right,
People think that Penny Hardaway was doing like 25, and Penny Hardaway did 20 and 8.
right,
You know what I'm saying? That's what he did, and he got a lot of attention for that. So think about that.
right. But
People still talk
but
about Penny to this day.
but I remember that first year without Shaq, he was dropping 40 on a lot of times. Like he had a lot of big games before his body just couldn't take it. He's another one, man. I used to love Penny Hardaway, man. That was my dude, but he just
Yeah,
couldn't.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like his body just broke down, and he didn't take care of himself either. Like he gained a bunch of weight before he came to the Knicks.
Yeah. He's a where's he a coach at now? He's a college coach
Memphis.
somewhere, right? Memphis. Okay. Yeah.
That's the coach. That's
Yo,
the place
man.
that he put.
So now,
I,
now I'm not messing with you.
yeah, that was the place that he played college ball. So he took over there. I mean, good for him.
Yeah. All right, moving on. I guess we'll go with the Brian Colangelo story. Like we didn't get to talk about it last week. Now it's good that we didn't because now we get the he got fired yesterday or he resigned.
I
However,
think he resigned. Yeah,
yeah, he officially resigned. But they was like, yo, get out of here. They did an investigation with lawyers and they came to the conclusion that his wife was behind it or whatever. But it doesn't matter. He was behind it.
that is the stupidest. He didn't know. He didn't know.
You think he
He
didn't
just
know?
told. No, he didn't know. I'm to the belief that he didn't know what she was doing. You know what I'm saying?
Nah.
Or if he's stupid enough to tell her, "Hey, I'm going to say a bunch of stuff. I need you to put it on the internet." Why would you do that?
Yeah, this is what I think. I think she wanted to do it, and he knew about it, and he was just like, whatever. You know what I mean? But I don't think he realized how serious that was. But he probably was
No,
just like,
I give him more credit for knowing. I give him more credit for knowing what social media does because he was in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Like for this long, I give him more credit. I would I wouldn't put something above what she would. I don't know her. I don't know what she looks like. I have no idea. But if she did it, I'm giving him credit saying he didn't know about it. So if he didn't know about it and she did it, that's like one of the worst things you could. You just cost your husband a career.
yeah. I
He
think
should divorce her.
yeah. Now I think he did it, and I think he knew about it, and I don't know if he told her to do it or not, but I think he knew something about it, and because she was putting like medical information out there too, like that he would have had to give her, which I don't know how much
He probably
he talked
like
to
the
her
thing
about
is
it as a
he
husband
probably
and wife.
came home and talked about it.
Yeah, I consider that. I just don't know if that would be something that like how much detail did he put into that? You know what I mean? So that's my thing.
He probably you know what I'm thinking like you remember how Joel Embiid was getting hurt every single season.
Yeah.
This is his first year. He probably was frustrated and say like, "This guy can't stay healthy. Look at this guy's." Like he probably was venting, saying stuff to his wife, and like just airing out everything that he can't say at the job.
Right.
Saying to his wife at home, and then
And she's on her
she
phone the whole time. Like, what else?
she's taking you like the third person today who said that. Uh,
She's like, what else about Joel Embiid? You're
yeah,
like,
I don't
damn,
know exactly what
he's a
he
goddamn
said.
cocksucker. She was like, cocksucker. No, I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know.
and the funny thing is, he may not ever get a job, but like I take Brian Colangelo. I
I,
wouldn't give a
I
shit. I don't give a shit.
I think he'll get another job. I mean, well, he's not Jerry though. He's not Jerry Colangelo. Don't get him confused with his father. His father's the guy. But
No, no, he's the guy. Wasn't he the one that ran the Phoenix Suns?
Jerry Colangelo, his
I
father.
thought that he did it. Seriously,
Okay, I'll have to look it up. Then maybe you're right. I have to look it up. But I'll
I,
thought it
I'm
was Jerry.
I, I'm not 100% sure. I know his father is in the Hall of Fame,
I think
and I
yeah.
know
I think Jerry's the one. But we'll give you an update next week.
yeah, but yeah, we do know basketball, but we don't know all that.
Yeah.
Like we don't know like which one ran the Suns
Yeah,
in
Colangelo, this
2005.
Michelangelo, who are these people? but yeah, like that's crazy. The whole thing is a little crazy, and I didn't think much of it when I first heard the story. But then when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, it's kind of serious. Like you can't just do that. You can't do that to your players.
Can it, like if you're your employee and you did it to your employees, you
And
probably get sued.
these are the people that you're bringing in. Like these are people that you picked. Like, and then you gonna criticize them on like. If you can't come to them and say these things, then yeah, then that's a problem.
The thing is, like, you can feel a certain way. You can say certain
Right, you can
things
feel a
at
certain way,
home. You
right?
can, you know what I'm saying. But when you have your wife, when your wife does that, like, how stupid is she?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, what would you do that for? Why would you do that?
yeah,
What are you getting out of it?
yeah,
I don't understand why anybody puts things on Facebook or on any type of social media that can get them fired. There's nothing in it for you.
yeah, man, and I don't know, like, and that's just basically that's why I think he had something to do with it. Like, I don't see why she would just do that on her own, but
But
I don't know.
she's probably
I don't see why
defending.
he would do it
She's
either.
probably
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's one way to look at it. I guess I don't know. I guess moving on. Unless you got anything else, you got anything else?
about him. Nah, I don't have anything else. But I would if he's one of the guys who built the Suns teams in 2005. Then I'd take him. I mean, we got a new. Was he a GM or a president? I don't know.
He was the president. He was the president. So
Who's the president right now? We have Scott. What's his name? Is it Perry? Is he our president or is he a GM?
yeah, something Perry. Yeah, he's the GM. The president is the guy that was the GM before Phil Jackson was there.
Yeah,
I can't think
yeah.
of
I
his
forgot the
name.
guy's name.
But he's the president.
Yeah, yeah.
Regardless,
Like if these guys don't work out, I'll take I'll take them.
I'll take him
Like
too.
we.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to
Yeah,
the
but Jerry
NFL.
had nah. Fuck it. You go ahead.
Moving on to Terrell Owens. As he waited what I think two. He got snubbed twice in the hall of getting in the Hall of Fame, I believe. And
Yeah,
finally they let him in, and then he's like, I'm not gonna go to the ceremony. What's your take on that?
I think he's doing what he's done his entire career is looking for attention.
Yeah.
He's just making a deal out of it because it's him, and this is his last thing that he can do for attention by using the NFL brand to further promote attention to him for no monetary gain because he's broke. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Like, I understand. I understand that if you're putting attention to yourself to try to make more money on the side, but he did that all that attention for nothing. He got nothing out of it.
Yep.
Like
He wasn't getting endorsements because of it. Like he didn't have no after career stuff going on.
yeah, that's right. He didn't do anything. He just did it because he's an asshole.
Yeah, pretty much.
and that's the thing. Like, I know some of my Facebook friends, some people I knew personally, they said, "Oh, they should have never let him in the Hall of Fame." I was like, "Why? He deserves to be in the Hall of
Great
Fame. If he
player.
doesn't want to show up,
One of the top five receivers of all time. Why not?
yeah, what I'm saying they get mad because he didn't show up." I was like, just because he doesn't show up doesn't like that's his fault. You know what I'm saying? Like, you only get one Hall of Fame enshrinement. You only get one.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, you had to
to be
get up
honest, I think
all
he's
those
making a mistake.
days, huh?
To be honest, I think he's making a mistake. I think he should go and just air out
I
your,
think he
and
is
just do
too.
what Jordan did. Air out your grievances during the Hall of Fame ceremony. Like just make a
I
mockery of
did.
the
I did
whole
not see
damn
that
thing.
coming
Yeah, just make
when
a
Jordan did
mockery of
that.
the whole shit. Like just talk shit about the people who vote. Just let this be your stage. to you like attention. Let the like use this to your advantage. Just because that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting to see what he was gonna say at the Hall of Fame ceremony. Like go to the ceremony. Go say what you want to say about whoever you want to say it about. Like tell your side of the story. They ain't gonna pull you off the stage unless you just vulgar and ridiculous. But besides that, just go out there and make fun of make fun of the whole thing. But I mean, even though a part of me respects what he's doing, like, cause I'm like, he like, you know what, screw y'all. Y'all didn't want me in when I should have been in. So screw y'all. Like I respect that, to be honest. But I would much rather see him say it on the stage.
Well, to be honest with you, like that, I would still show up, even if he gets even if he's upset about it, I'll still show up because it's my Hall of Fame ceremony. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like this is for me.
Right.
You know, you only get one of those, and like you only get to unveil your bust and have them put the yellow jacket on you one time. They're never gonna do this again. You know what I'm saying? Like you're always gonna be a Hall of Famer, but you'll never be enshrined again. You know what I'm saying? You show up and your bust will be there, but you never had the ceremony, you never had anybody honor you, you never had the video, tribute, and all this other stuff. Like, you know, I agree with what you said. Like, he should talk shit or whoever he wants, you know, like, but you know, like pouting and acting like a baby, that just makes it. See, that's why I put Randy Moss over him as far as receivers, because you know Randy Moss would, to me, he had better hands. That's number one,
Definitely
and
have better hands.
he never did shit like this in the locker room.
No, no. He's yeah. I mean, as far as that comparison, I always pick To over him and on the field because I mean, Randy Moss, there's no deep threat that was ever better than him. So he's got that. But
I've never seen to this day. There's no one I've ever seen that's more of a deep threat than Randy Moss
yeah, he's
ever. Like you know what I'm saying,
right,
especially when he was young.
right,
And especially when he was in New England, forget all that. When he was in New England, like
yeah,
he was doing it for fun. Like he
right.
wasn't even trying.
He would hold his hand up. Soon as the play hike, he would be like, "Here I am, just throw it up."
And like it was just effortless. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like so, I was just like, so that's my major thing against him. Is like you never really tried.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you
Imagine if you had the
like
dedication of Jerry Rice.
you know, just imagine if he would have tried most of the time. You know what I'm saying? Like he tried for a couple seasons to get himself into a Hall of Fame. When he first came into the league, he was burning. He was trying to kill people.
Yeah, he was a monster. Like I'll never forget that. And they had Chris Carter on the other side, so it's not like you could just double him because you had another top five receiver on the other side. Like
Yeah, but look who the quarterback was. You had a
yeah.
big dumbass. Never mind.
Well, I thought he was great, but he like
Where is he now?
him having Randy Moss and Chris Carter made it look like he was going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, but
I thought
every time he hiked the
he
ball,
had
his
me
fucking
fooled.
eyes would cross.
He certainly had me fooled because I was looking like, damn, Culpepper is a beast, but then just like that, he was out of the league.
Yeah, he played I think one season with Miami, and then he was gone. Like
Yeah,
you never heard not one little peep out of him ever
once
since.
Randy Moss and Carter was gone, his career was over. Like that was it for him. Like man, I wonder what he's doing right now. um,
Sorry for somebody being stupid. Go ahead.
like I don't know what 1 + 1 is. Why you asking me? um, but yeah, like I would if I'm on To, just show up, just go, just go and do you. Just keep being the same arrogant. Look at me, guy. You are. Just do it in front of them. Just do it. And just make them feel stupid or just have fun with it. Do what you want to do. But I really hope he shows up. I hope he changes mind.
You know Dante Culpepper's 41 years old.
That's it.
I always thought he was around our age, but he's 41 years old. I was like, Jesus Christ.
I thought he was older than that, but now, damn. So if he was any good, he would have probably just retired like 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, like he played for Minnesota from 1999 to 2005, Miami one season, Oakland for one season, for 2007. So he played with Oakland with Randy Moss. How funny is
Oh,
that?
Randy Moss was there that year?
I think so. No, 2000. It was right before Randy Moss. It was right before Randy Moss went to New England.
Because he left Oakland to go to New England, right?
Oh, it was right after because this is 2007 season because they went to the Super Bowl and lost to us.
You stupid. um, yeah. What was the other thing? While you up there, look up which Colangelo should we be talking about? But To where do you rank To all time and wide receivers?
Number three behind
Number three
Jerry Rice
and Randy
and Randy
Moss.
Moss.
Okay, yeah. Who's right after them?
Um, hmm. Number four would probably be Chris Carter,
Yeah,
or
I think so.
I don't know.
I think. Yeah, I mean it's hard to. I mean, well, we can only go by our time too. By the way, because I never saw
Let's,
what's his name, Lynn
how
Swan play. I never saw. I never,
about Isaac Bruce?
yeah,
Nah.
yeah. There's a lot of great ones. Isaac Bruce.
But I can't name these guys the top five wide receiver of all time. I would say Marvin Harrison. How about that?
I was trying to think of the other guy, Marvin Harrison. You think he's where? Number
Number
five
four.
or number four?
Yeah.
Okay. Um,
Marvin Harrison's a gangster, by the
I
way.
know.
I'm not going to talk about
I
him.
know. I'm like, I'm gonna put him at number one then.
Like
I
this
don't want
dude.
no
Well, this dude
problems.
had a whole career, didn't get in no trouble, was always smiling in his pictures. You hear a peep about him. As soon as he retires, somebody gets killed in Philly, and somebody's
Yeah,
doing this. Somebody,
I was
I'm
like,
like,
somebody
he
getting
can't
shook
stay in
down.
trouble.
I was like, what? Um, he was on some Hernandez shit. Instead of Hernandez couldn't keep his shit quiet long enough. He should have took pages from Marvin Harris's book. Aaron Hernandez. I couldn't think of his first name. Aaron Hernandez. He should have took pages from his book, but because nobody. I mean, I know he had got in trouble in college a little bit. I'm talking about Aaron Hernandez, but like people were shocked. Like what? Like this? Like Tim Tebow went to bat for him. I'm like, damn. Like
Well, he played. Well, yeah, he played with them. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, so yeah, so he went to bat for him, but I mean, the dude was a fucking murderer. Yeah, you know what I mean?
he was
Like,
street
killed
gangster
somebody. They
too.
killed himself.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say before. I mean, I don't want to say nothing really messed up like this, but like, doesn't TL seem like that type of guy? So like in like 7 years from now, you find out that he like he like killed himself or something because he's always
Didn't he
come
try
to
that before?
attention.
He did.
Oh,
He
he
remember?
did. He did. You're right.
Yeah, he tried that before.
I, I forgot about that. Yeah. So like, yeah, he I'm not surprised because like he's really emotional. He's like an emotional wreck. He starves for attention. And he's
That's
just
my quarterback.
you know.
Let me tell you about the best. That was the best weekend I think I ever had. Like that was awesome right there. Like when that game, just beating them in like that whole month was awesome right there. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? But after seeing that, he crying. Oh my god! And then Tony Romo collapsed in the goddamn shower. They had to pull him out naked by his legs and shit.
What? Wait, what?
They had to pull him out of the shower naked by his
Are you
legs, his
serious?
balls scrambling against the floor and shit.
Tony Romo?
Yeah,
Is this for real? Or
this
you
is
just
real.
all right? Hold on. Tell me the story from the beginning. Like what
Okay,
happened?
after the Giants beat the Cowboys in the 2007-2008 season in the playoffs, um, when Tony Romo went to his showers, he laid down the shower. He turned on the hot shower. He sat down in the shower like this is
Oh
like he's in Top Gun or some shit, and he's
no way!
and then he passed out. It had to be taken out of the goddamn shower.
What? I never
So
heard this story.
I laughed at that. I was like, I hope he dies. Nah, I'm joking.
Oh my god!
Nah, I'm
Yo,
joking. No.
I've never heard that story before. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Holy
By the
shit!
way, I'm only kidding. I don't hope Tony Romo dies. He's probably a good guy. He seems like a good guy.
Yeah.
I just never liked his laugh and his smile and all
Yeah.
that. I hate that shit.
He's a cowboy. Like there's nothing to like about him. Like it's not your fault, Tony Romo. You play for the Cowboys. You're hated, and just deal with it.
I think he dealt with it in stride. He's fine.
Yeah. I don't think it ever, I mean, but that story just really like blows me away. Like, I didn't know about that. Oh my god!
Yeah,
I'm gonna laugh even harder later when I'm done.
that was so that was so. Was I over your house when I watched that game? I think we watched the whole playoffs over your house, right?
I don't remember. I have a bad memory. I don't remember anything.
Yeah, I think I was over your house for that game. I
I
know
know
I
it
was
for the
over your
Super
house to
Bowl.
watch
I remember the
the
Super
Giants
Bowl.
Packers game.
Only thing I remember is the Super Bowl
Yeah,
when
because I jumped up and down like a
yeah,
dick.
yeah, he was like, ah! He was freaking out, and I was laughing to myself. I was like, "This is how I would be." But yeah, that's the only thing I remember.
if you think I reacted like that when the Giants won, think about what happens if the Knicks ever win.
Man, if the Knicks win, I'll jump out the window, dude. Forget about it. I would just like
Especially if they won in like dramatic fashion like that.
word, like
If they won in dramatic fashion, that would be. I think I watched that game like every week throughout the entire
I
summer.
know, dude, like you want your teams to win like that, but up to that point, you're like shitting bricks, and I don't want to have that feeling. I'd rather the Knicks just be as good as like the Warriors and just dominate the whole league.
Look,
But you remember it better
I would
when it's
love that.
dramatic like
I would
that,
love that. But like for our first championship to have a moment like that
right? You want
and
to,
then dominate the next season.
right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I just hate that stress feeling now. Like it didn't bother me when I was younger, but now it's like I don't want to be stressed during the games no more. I just want to watch them and enjoy them. Like I don't want to sit there and bite my fingernails and shit. I don't want to do that no more. Like
Yeah.
and by the way, the Knicks don't give us any reason to do that now anyway. So who knows?
No,
Maybe
not since 1999. I haven't
yeah.
done that. I haven't done that since then.
Pretty much, yep. That was the only, yep. 99. After that, it's just been a bunch of meaningless games after meaningless games.
Even when we won, even when we were in like the playoffs in 2015, I just knew that we weren't gonna win anything. It wasn't like
Oh yeah,
we had a shot to win
right. I
a
had no
championship.
optimism. I was just like, all right, we're good. It's nice that we made the playoffs, but like it's just like yeah, there's nothing.
The only thing I wanted to win was a playoff series. That's the only thing I
Right,
wanted to win. We did that, so I was fine.
right. I wasn't distraught or upset that we lost. It was just like, it was nice to sit in the playoffs again and getting out of the first round. Like we weren't just a one and done team. It was nice that we had because I didn't expect us to be that good that year. Like it came out of nowhere that we were that good. So I was like, okay, fine. Well, we we made it to the playoffs and got out of the first round. Beat the pretty much ended the Celtics dynasty. They pretty much broke up after that, right? After that
Yeah, they
season.
broke up after that
Yeah, so
season. Yeah, they
that made me feel good. Like I was happy about that. But even they made that dramatic after being up 3-0, and then letting them win two in a
J.R.
row. I was
Smith,
like, here we
J.R.
go.
Smith,
J.R.
right?
Smith, yeah, yeah. I was like, and Kenyon Martin and them was talking about we got wear black suits. It's gonna be a funeral. I'm like, why?
That's why I said
Why?
I was like, what? I was like, you guys like just fucking win the game. That's
I
it.
know.
Just win and
I'm like,
move
talk
on.
all your shit after the game, but do not do that to a championship caliber team, like a team that we all know that was over. Like they weren't gonna win the championship, but we know that they had championship heart. So it's like you don't do that. Like don't do that. And then even the game that we closed them out, we went up big and they came back. Like they made such a fast comeback in the fourth quarter. I was just like, oh my god, here we go again. I was like,
And then
we're
like
gonna
I
lose.
remember what you said at the time after the game. It was like, yeah, I'm glad we got that game, but I'm pissed off.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I cannot believe this team made me sweat so much for being up 3-0. Like we were up 3-0 in that series. I legitimately thought we were gonna lose the series in that fourth quarter. I was like, we're not gonna win the series. Like I legitimately thought they were gonna be the first NBA
Okay,
team to
you
do
want to
that.
know something? Because anything that happens, all those historic moments happen against us.
Yeah, I was just
You know what I'm saying? Everything that happens, like we're the Washington Generals, like that world champion 100-point game. Who was that against? The
the
Knicks.
Knicks. Yep. Yep. I'm just glad that nobody really dwells on that because I kind of forgot that it was against us. I mean, I knew it was against us, but I kind of it's such an afterthought. That's the good thing about it that nobody thinks about the fact that it was against the Knicks. All right, I guess nothing else left to do but go with our top 10 power forwards.
Okay, top 10 power forwards. Who's your number 10? I already got my number 10. Who's your number 10?
Okay, my number 10 is Rasheed Wallace.
Rasheed Wallace? That's a
Yeah,
good pick.
yeah. I thought he would have been better if maybe he would have took care of himself better, and I think Rasheed Wallace could have been as good as any power forward ever if he had the push to do it. And it was something that just wasn't there, but he definitely could. Like, he was a great post scorer, and then all of a sudden he just became a 3-point shooter. I don't know why or how that happened, but he turned out to be. I mean, he was really good at that though. But I wish he would have mixed it up more. Like, he could have been a guy who really mixed it up, scoring inside and outside. But he just became from only inside to only outside. I don't know if that had something to do with an injury, because I know he had injury issues. But I don't know. But anyway, Rasheed's my number 10. You want me to just run my whole list, or you want to do your number 10? We want to go back and forth.
We'll go back and forth. My
All right.
number 10 is Anthony Davis.
Okay.
Even though he's relatively new, which is why he's number 10 and not further up my list because he's only been playing since what
Well,
2012 or
he's
something like
further
that.
up my list, but, but yeah, go ahead.
You know what I'm saying, like that. Um, yeah, what I'm saying, I have to go back all the way. You know what I'm saying, especially since he's only been playing for a few years, so that's the only reason why he's ranked so low on my list. But who's your number 9?
My number 9 is Chris Bosh. I like. I put like
Not even on my list.
which when he's he was a when he was the best player on his team. Toronto was a pretty decent team. He wasn't great. They weren't great or anything like that. They weren't a real threat. They're basically who they are now. Like, nobody took him serious. Nobody has a team, and nobody took that team serious. But he led them to the playoffs, and they were, they weren't great, but they were good. So I give him a lot of credit. And then he helped win a couple championships in Miami. So, and he had to really really diminish his role to do that. But he finally, I think it took him a year or two to finally get it to where he knew how to play in that role. But he figured it out. Who's your number 9?
Amari Stoudemire. Injuries wrapped his career a little bit short. Um, he was dominant in Phoenix. Like he really that's playoff series against the Spurs. He was dominating Tim Duncan.
Yeah,
And there
I
was
remember
no
that.
two ways about it.
Yep.
Um, his injury issues. He had degenerative knees, so he had to pretty much retire after that. But if he didn't have those knee problems and we didn't get Carmelo Anthony, we would have had a little bit more of a playoff run.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even though he's not on my list, he would probably be just outside of my list. But yeah, um, yeah, I agree with that. Like, he probably would have. Yeah, we probably would have did a lot better had he not had the injuries. My number 8 is Chris Webber. Um,
Ranked him low.
you think I ranked him low?
I ranked him higher.
All right. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely in the top 10. That's for sure. But like,
Yeah.
he was a good all around power forward. He never quite made it to the finals, but he was close a couple times with Sacramento. He was in his really younger days. He was dominant, like dunking on cats and intimidating. He was a beast. All right, who you got?
Okay, for my number 8, I have Zach Randolph.
Wow.
People
Okay.
people forget about Zach Randolph, but he's had a great fucking career, and he's not been injured. He's kept his numbers the same. He's been 20 and 10 for like 10 some years.
Yeah.
But people, he has those major runs in the playoffs too with Memphis
Yeah.
at 35, 36 years old, and he's still in the league. He's
Yeah.
still playing pretty good basketball to this day. So in my era, like he's my number 8.
I totally respect that. I didn't have him on my top 10 either, but when I was doing my top 10, I always put like my top 15 people, and then I start rearranging them. He was in my top 15, but he didn't quite make my top 10. But I definitely respect that. My number 7 is Sean Kemp. Like, Sean Kemp was my dude.
He's
Like,
he's he's just outside of my top. He was like He was Broadway. You know what I'm saying? Like he was Showtime, but his numbers just don't add up.
That's fair. And that's fair. I give him a lot of credit. I mean, like, see me, I remember the highlights. I definitely remember the highlights of him dunking off cats and pointing out.
And that makes me want to put him in the top 10.
Yeah,
Just those highlights alone
yeah,
just makes you want to put him
yeah.
in the top 10.
And he went to the finals. He was in the finals with Gary Payton or whatever. So he at least made it to the finals. And Jordan stopped him from winning. I forgot, by the way, that they were down 3-0 in that series. They almost pulled what Boston did against us. They were down 3-0, then they won two in a row, and made it a series. But I've always liked Sean Kemp. It's a shame how how his career went from those great days in Seattle. But I still remember. I still got the memories. So, who's your seven?
My seven is Dennis Rodman. Uh, yeah, Dennis Rodman didn't score a lot, but one of the best defensive players ever to play the game. Best rebounders at his height for someone who's 6'6". Who was 6'6", like 220, but can rebound. Led the league in rebounding like 7 years straight. You're not going to see that these days. You're just not. You know what I'm saying? Like, he knew his role and he played it. So, the reason he's ranked higher is because they're like really elite guys coming up who won championships and MVPs. So like I can't rank them. I can't rank him above them.
Right.
Sorry.
By the way, your list is kind of crushing my list because I don't have Dennis Rodman on there, and he definitely should be on there. I kind of forgot about him too, and shame on me for not having him on there. But he definitely should. He definitely should be in my top 10. But I botched that one. All right, so my number 6. That's where I got Anthony Davis. I got Anthony Davis at 6. To me, like when I'm looking at all these other guys on this list, I mean he doesn't have the resume yet that these guys have, but the things that he can do on the court, like there's only a few players on this list that can do what he's done on the court. Like he's probably out of all these guys, he's probably quicker than all of them. He can shoot as well as almost all of them, except for maybe the person who's next on my list. Um, and his defensively, he's probably better than all of them except for two other guys on this list that I didn't get to yet. So that's why I got him so high, even though his resume doesn't match the Sean Kemp's, the Chris Webber's, Chris Bosh, Rashid's. But I think he was more. I think he can do more than them as a package. Like he can do everything that those guys can do. That I got him ahead of right now. What about your number 6?
For my 6, I have Chris Webber.
Okay.
He was dominant when he played with Sacramento. He upped his game. He was averaging 27 and 10. Some of these years, he doesn't get enough recognition because of what he never won a ring. He got really close, and he made a series out of those Lakers. The Lakers Kings series. So like Chris Webber is my number 6.
Yeah. Okay. And
Top 5.
Yeah, number 5 I got Dirk Nowitzki.
I got the same.
How did I know we were gonna have him in the same spot? These next 5 are probably gonna be exactly the same, to be honest. But yeah, number 5 I got Dirk. He's
number 2 and number 1 number 2 and number 3 are gonna be really different.
He's the best shooter on this list, and he's the first 7-footer that can shoot like that. Now we got him and Durant, but but Durant's a small forward, so that's why he's not on this list. But as far as 7-footers, him and Durant are the best shooting 7-footers ever.
I would say the same thing. He's Dirk Nowitzki is the best foreign-born player we've ever seen in this league. He's gotten better and better and better. He was a project. He's one of those projects that worked out. Yeah. Remember how we always see every year you talk about, oh, this guy's a project. This guy's a project. He's a project that actually worked out.
Right. And it only took him like his second season before we started really seeing the talent. Like the first year, I used to see his name in the box score of having like 15, 20 points, but I ignored him because I never heard of him. Even after he got drafted, I never heard of him until I started seeing his name in the box score. And I'm like, who's that guy that be having like 17, 18, 19, 20-point games? And then I started paying attention, like maybe his second year. I was like, oh, this guy's pretty good.
And plus he beat LeBron's team, LeBron's Miami team.
Yeah.
he swept the
The
Lakers,
Lakers, yeah.
took them completely out of the championship. They were going for their third. Phil Jackson had all of his kids, and oh, he has 12 rings. They had the hats all made, their little custom made hats, and then Dirk Nowitzki just nah, you ain't nah.
And you know what reminds me? Because he swept them that same year, right?
Yeah,
I I'm so mad at myself because I was arguing with people on Facebook about the Kobe LeBron thing, and they was like, yeah, LeBron did this against the Dallas. I'm like, well, because it was the Kobe versus LeBron debate. I'm like, well, he swept Kobe like in that same season. He fucking swept him, and I didn't even think about that during the
yeah, he swept
argument.
them.
During the argument, I'm like, he swept Kobe and Shaq. like yeah. LeBron shouldn't have lost to him that year, but he swept Kobe and Shaq. So and Phil Jackson. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So all right. Anyway, moving on. Number four.
Number four, we both gonna have the same guy. It's gonna be Kevin Garnett.
That's right. Yeah. Um, outside of Anthony Davis on this list, he's the only one that can do everything that Anthony Davis can do. Like he can do everything. He can shoot, rebound, pass, defend multiple positions. He was great. Like
He's a leader too. That's the thing
he's
about him.
right.
He's a leader, but he's dirty. He's a dirty player.
Yeah, there's times I didn't like him, and I still kind of don't like him.
There was times where like I remember there was this one thing where I think he was playing for Minnesota and Tim Duncan was playing. Yeah, they were playing in the playoffs or something like that, and Tim Duncan was talking to the. Tim Duncan talks to the refs. Kevin Garnett walked behind him and smacked him in
Smacked
the
him
head
back
as
at it.
hard as
Yeah,
possible.
yeah,
And
yo,
then, and then Tim Duncan looked at him like, "What are you doing?"
yeah. Like that made me. That's when the dislike started for me. When I saw that, I was like you did that to Tim Duncan. Like, why would you do that to him? Of every player in the league, you doing that to that guy? Like, come on now. But
What
yeah,
do
I
you do to
mean,
you?
yeah. But I mean, this is about how great he is, though.
Okay.
But like we just started trashing him, but but yeah, he's definitely like he was a fierce competitor, fierce defender. He could score. Now I think up until he got to Boston, he was a little. He was as great as he was. There was something missing in terms of like wanting the ball down the stretch of games. There was kind of a mini stigma there. Like it wasn't like how like they used to criticize like say LeBron or something like that. But there was a mini stigma there as to like in the games where he wouldn't get the ball, where he wouldn't take the shot or whatever. But by the time, but when he got with Doc Rivers in Boston, Ray Allen and them, he became a guy that I mean, now granted, he didn't have to take the big shot that often, but he wasn't. He kind of showed that he wasn't afraid to there. But Paul Pierce was the man that took all the big shots there, and Ray Allen if they needed a three. So, but yeah, Kevin Garnett number four. Number three, I have
This is gonna be a problem.
I have Karl Malone at number
You
three.
motherfucker.
Now, I'm probably the only person or one of the few people that think this. You know what I mean? Like most people would put Karl Malone at number two or even number one. Some people, depending on wherever you want.
Those people are morons. But go ahead.
But now but as great as Karl Malone, I think Karl Malone's really great. Um, I mean, it's not much. It's not. I mean, when you get down this low on the list, this high on the list, it's not a whole lot you can say about these guys because you know how everybody knows how great they are. Karl Malone was the shit. Probably one of the strongest players in the league, especially during the time he played. He was definitely one of the strong. Him and Shaq. Um, Him and Stockton ran that pick and roll like crazy. He went to the finals twice, competed with Jordan, whatever. Like they were. He was great. I mean, he was a beast. All right, who you have at number three?
Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley's number three. Um, the guy's average. He was a great player. Can do it all. Can shoot. Later on in his career, can shoot. Like early on in his career, he was more of a back to the basket or drive to the basket dunker. Strong. So can grab rebounds for somebody his height. He was. He was great. He got that MVP season with the '93 Phoenix Suns, which is one of my favorite teams to watch.
You and me both.
Like his life after basketball. His comments kind of maybe put him down the list to number three instead of number two. Now, there's times I agree with Charles Barkley says, but there's other times I'm like, what is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and some of the things that some of the things that he did on the court, like he wouldn't he wouldn't back down from anybody, especially Shaq. That's why I find it funny that they're like commentating with each other, but
Yeah.
there's always people between them.
Right. Yeah, they're
Uh,
smart. They made sure that they put two people in between.
so like Shaq's such a big dummy who says dumb shit, and then Barkley, like
Also says a lot of
he
dumb
says
shit.
dumb shit like half the time.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I might as well tell you he's my number two, so I'll just get right into what I'm saying about him. Yeah, like I think he was more. I think he now Malone was great at what he did. What he did was great, and he was great at it. But Barkley, I just like Barkley's versatility a little more. He had more range, more shooting range, and as a player, I used to love Barkley, his personality. But now, like the more dumb stuff he says, the more annoyed I get by him. But as a player, I used to like that about him. But now that the more he talks, I was just like, all right, shut up, Charles. But but I still never forget about how great. Like I said, that like he said about that Suns team, I love that Suns team. It's one of my best favorite teams to ever watch, and I used to root so hard for that team to win because not only did I like him, I liked KJ. Dan Marley was on that team. I used to like Dan Marley. Cedric Ceballos was on that team. I used to love that team. Like that team was so fun to watch. And Barkley was the leader of it. And of course, like everybody, like all the other West Coast guys on this list, they lost to the Bulls. They couldn't get over that hump. But he was Barkley was the dude. So who's your number two?
It'll be Karl Malone. There's only one player I've ever seen who averaged 30 and 10, like not just once but multiple times. Um, and he lasted so long in this league. You know what I'm saying? Like
He definitely get points for that.
he was dominant, and he would have won championships if it wasn't for Jordan. You know what I'm saying? Like if he would have, like he stayed a little bit too long in the league. In '99, um, Tim Duncan just got past him, but I thought that no, nobody actually thought that that they were going to win against the Spurs back in '99.
No.
But yeah, like his time just came and gone. He was one of the strongest guys in the league. Um, he could shoot. He could fucking hit free throws. That's the good thing
Yeah,
about
for a
him.
big man,
He's a
yeah.
big man who can hit free throws.
Well, power forwards weren't that terrible at it. It was definitely 7 foot centers who were terrible at it. But he was probably still one of the better power forwards when it came to free throws. He was I believe because he started out not so good, but then by I think like his third or fourth year in the league, he was in like an 80% shooter. Like he 70 or late 70s, early 80%
Yeah.
shooter. So he definitely was one of the best power forwards of his era that could shoot free throws. So I give him that too. Yeah.
All right. So number one, Kristaps Porzingis. What do you want to say about him?
Yep. All right. Show's over. Nah. Yeah. It's obviously Tim Duncan, best power forward of all time. Um.
He
But
should have three MVPs. That last MVP that Karl Malone won, that should have been Tim Duncan's. If you ask
well,
me.
to me, I thought the year that he won one of them, Jason Kidd should have won one. So, so I don't know. I mean, I thought Jason Kidd the year. I think that was the first year that the Nets went to the championship. I think Jason
Well,
Kidd should have been MVP that
well,
year.
that was the first year that Tim Duncan won a championship. So I mean,
No,
won a
second time.
MVP. So
MVP.
you had to give it to him at some point. He has two MVPs. He has five rings, and like when you talk about longevity, like this guy played for almost 20 years, and right before he retired, he won a championship.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he knew his role. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't about the numbers with the entire team. So he was doing 20 and 10 dominant numbers early on in his career, but his numbers fell when he was in his prime
Mm-hmm.
because he just had other guys to get the ball to, and
Right.
to let them shoot and let them
Right.
shine.
They
So
changed the
that
offense
and
a lot
that
around them.
yeah, and that made him better. You know what I'm saying? Like his game was basically fundamentals. His game was smart. He wasn't doing anything like that was spectacular.
Yeah.
He was just making the shots. He was
Yeah.
getting the
Right.
ball, making the shots. That's it.
He just get the ball. He used that glass really well, just as well as anybody. He just just got the right. He was 7 footer, just was great. I mean, I really hate calling him a power forward because I think he really should have been a center.
He should have been a center. Like that, I was just going to say that. Like if he would have got drafted anywhere else, he'd be center, and
Right.
and we'd be talking about him being
One
a
of the great
dominant center,
centers.
just kind of like Shaq.
I mean, I guess it kind of works out for him because he's considered the best power forward. He would have been considered
But
the
yeah,
best
if he
center.
was a center, he wouldn't be the best
He,
center.
he would probably be number what 3, 4.
If he was a center, he'd be behind
Kareem.
Kareem. He'd be behind. Would you put him ahead or behind Shaq? I
Uh,
think I put him ahead of Shaq.
I think I put him ahead of Shaq. Um,
Uh,
maybe
who's
number
ahead of
two.
him
Maybe
as
number
a
two.
center?
Maybe number two. I mean, you got to give Will Chamberlain a lot of credit.
How about Hakeem?
He played. Uh, I'll give. Uh,
I don't know, man. I really
uh,
that I don't know, man. I
by the
can't
way,
put
Hakeem.
anyone.
By the way, Hakeem. Do we do our top 10 centers yet? So
I don't think.
let's stop. Let's stop before we get too far, because
But no, I'm just talking about comparing
I
Tim
know,
Duncan to
I
Kareem.
know.
I mean to Hakeem. I don't know who I would take. To be honest with you, like that's a toss up. I mean, like and look at this. Tim Duncan, like most of his career, he averaged like 19 and 10, and Hakeem would do like 32 and 10. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? And
right.
would dominate, but he only won two championships. Tim
But
Duncan
but
won five.
and part. I mean, I think put it like this. I think if you put Hakeem in Duncan shoes, like if you took Duncan and put Hakeem there, I think the career path would have been about the same. You know what I mean? But I think Tim Duncan.
Yeah. I was going to say I think they won the same amount of
Right.
championships.
I think because I think Tim Duncan didn't have to deal with Jordan for one. He didn't have to like
Well, Hakeem had to deal with. He had to deal with Jordan. He had to deal with Bird. He had to deal with Magic. He
right,
had to
right.
deal. He remember he played against Bird's teams
Right,
twice.
right. He dealt with the very like the top of the list all time greats. Like his whole
And
career.
what you call? As soon as
And
Jordan left,
he
that's when he.
snuck
That's when
two
he shot
in
one.
there. When Jordan left, he snuck two in there. He like and the West was so competitive during the Jordan era that every year somebody different was getting there. Utah got there 2 years in a row, but every year it was somebody different. Phoenix, Portland, Seattle, Houston, San Antonio at the end. So it's like during the '90s, it was always somebody different. So that's how good the West was. So it was hard for anybody to like really establish a dominance. Like it was just everybody. I mean, and there was no super teams then. It was just everybody had one or two star players. So
Yeah, yeah. Like like and all those players would just get drafted by the best. Always get drafted by the major teams. I wonder how that works.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's crazy, but
But yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That's Timmy. He's the greatest. And he was understated throughout his entire career. And um, I'll give you another. I'll give you another comparison. I posed this question in one of the Facebook groups.
mm,
Who would you rather have, LeBron or Tim Duncan? Everybody said LeBron. Everybody said LeBron. I was like, I'll take Tim. If I'm a GM, I'm taking Tim Duncan. There's no other way because LeBron's leaving. If he doesn't give what he wants, he's leaving. He's gone. You know what I'm
you
saying?
got a
Like
point.
it's not about talent. He's gonna go. You know what I'm saying? Like
You
but
got a
Tim
point.
Duncan, he's gonna stay. He's gonna give you some loyalty.
But Tim Duncan didn't necessarily have to leave either. He has a great organization who was great even before he got there, and then turns out he's got one of the greatest coaches of all time. So I think if
Well,
you
he could have left for more talent.
he
He
could have
remember he could have went to Orlando. He almost did.
he could have but he had already won and he knew how good of a coach he had. He knew what he had. He knew he
The
could
only
he
reason he
knew
didn't go. Remember we talked about this. The only reason he
right
didn't go
right
is
right.
is Doc Rivers
Doc Rivers
dumbass.
wouldn't let him bring his family on the flights.
Did you ever hear that conversation between Paul Pierce and Tracy McGrady on TNT or TBS or one of those sets? And Tracy McGrady was talking about. He was like, "Yeah, he almost joined us out there in Orlando, but Coach Doc said he couldn't have anybody there. And all of a sudden, Paul Pierce was like, he said what? Doc said what? He was like, I had everybody there. What the? He was like, oh, Tracy McGrady, don't tell me that, man.
Yeah, he was, and it's because of that Tim Duncan situation where he's like, I guess I got to get looser on my on my policy. So like, yeah, you probably allowed it after that because he just missed out on an all time great player. So it's like, you know what, I got to treat my star players with more, give them more leeway because I don't want to miss out on nobody else. So that was
And the think about that. Like, I don't know. I don't care. Like Doc Rivers is older than both of us. Even back then, before when he was a coach of Orlando, and he had fucking Darryl Armstrong as his point guard,
right.
and and he lucked out. Just have because you happen to be in a nice city where everyone wants to go because it's nice weather and there's no state tax in Florida. Where you get Grant Hill and T Mac will say, okay, you just won a lottery. We're going to go to your team, and we're going to probably take Tim Duncan with us. And he's just like, oh, yeah, but you ain't going to do that. I'm like, what, like, why would I do that?
Yeah,
Why would I do that?
yeah,
I would never do that.
yeah. You give a great player whatever he wants to join your team. Like once you got him under contract, screw him over if you want, but you tell him whatever you want to hear until he signs. That's a huge mistake he made. But I guess he's kind of old school. I guess he's old school. He's probably thinking like, no, this is how it is. This is what's gonna be. And he probably didn't think that would be the deciding factor in getting Tim Duncan. But yeah, that's basically our top 10 power forwards of our generation. I got
Did we do the point guards already? No, we didn't.
no. We kind of did a off the top of our head one, but that wasn't official.
We did the shooting guards.
Yeah, we did shooting
And
guards and we did running
did
backs.
shooting. Have we done anything for football?
Running backs. We did shooting guards and running backs. That's all we did so far.
Shooting guard, running backs,
now
and
we
power
just did the
forwards.
power
Okay, so next week we'll do quarterbacks.
forwards.
This should be
Next
really
week. Whoa, easy. One a month, brother. One a month. We don't
next
want
week.
to.
Nah,
We,
fuck.
we don't want to burn. We don't want to burn up our. Once our lists are over, then we're gonna have to find another gimmick. So we got to spread them out.
Okay. So
We can
July.
make this
Ju-
last. We can make this last about a year. These top tens once a month, but then we're gonna run out of top tens eventually. So we
Yeah,
got to stretch them out.
so next month, do you want to do point guards next month, or do you want to do
Let's see. Next month is
quarterbacks?
July, and
Let's
basketball season will
just
be
stick with basketball.
yeah. We'll stick with basketball because this could be free agency time in July. So all right, we'll do another basketball list. We'll do I guess we could do point guards.
That's pretty. No, it's not simple anymore.
Uh,
It was simple. Now it's not anymore.
well, see me, like I told you before, I already have just about all my lists already written down, so I won't forget them or whatever. I mean, I could always change them if I wanted to, but I don't think I'm going to. So I got them all. I just made a whole bunch of notes of all my top this and that, and I just keep it like just like that. So I won't have to scramble because I damn sure forgot we were doing a power forward thing, and I had to write them down on here. But I already had my lists ready, so it was easy for me to just copy my list. So I was like, all right, well at least I ain't gotta think about nothing. But I do have a question for you, and I hope I didn't ask this already. But who
The
played?
name line.
Damn. How'd you know? So now, like that, like what question could you ask for that to be the answer?
Who bagged my groceries
who
today?
what Nick player had cornrows and I don't know. But anyway, who played in the most NBA games ever? Did I ask this? I didn't ask this. Did
No,
I? Okay.
no, you didn't.
All right.
In the most NBA games ever, Robert Parrish.
Very, very fucking good. All right, that's all. It's the only question I got for you today. So, all right, so I gotta start keeping score of how many of these you got right and got wrong. But I think you got more right than wrong though so far. Well, I'll go back. I'll go back and look at the tape, and I'll give it. And I'm gonna start keeping a record, keep a score of this.
I think I'm 2-2 actually.
Well, I asked you more than two questions. Like one show, I asked you three.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
One show, I asked you the one with Scott Skiles, the one with I think Steve Nash was the answer to one, and
Yeah,
it was like
yeah,
3 point
yeah.
guard questions I had asked. But anyway, that is the end of the show. I got nothing.
Okay. All right. Well,
Oh
next week we're probably going to cover free agency, the NBA championship. We already know what's going to happen. We could probably cover the NBA
yeah.
championship in
What's
the
the
next two
score?
minutes.
What's the score? Yeah, look up the score. In the meantime, you can email us at lemaranlj@gmail.com. That's LEMARANDLJ at gmail.com. Still waiting for our first email. Um, please just tell us how we did on our top power forwards or something. Come on, y'all. Somebody's watching. Somebody's listening. Just give us one email. Just be the first person to email us, and I will give
If you
you
give me
a
an email, if you
signed.
give me
I will
an
give you a
email,
signed LeBron James
I
basketball.
will buy crack for you. Okay.
All right, forget about the signed LeBron James. We'll left for somewhere else. But I got a LeBron James signed basketball. I asked him personally, and he was like, "Yeah, man, anything for my boy." So I'll give that
Respect
to
the shit out
you.
of
I will give that to
you.
you, people. I'll give it to you if you just email
You point at his cat.
us. All right, guys. I guess that's it. Anything you want to add? Anything else?
Nah, I'm good.
All right, y'all. See y'all next week.
I'll see you next week.
Mother.